Brilliant. Thanks very much. Morning, everyone. I'm really excited to introduce you to Dynamics 365 for Talent. So let's talk a little bit about Chemonics. Chemonics are a worldwide organization who deliver social impact projects in developing countries. They deliver some really meaningful, worthwhile projects in over 80 countries, and associated with that is some complex recruitment requirements. It's quite challenging to find the right candidates, put them on the right projects in the right place. So let's talk a little bit about how Dynamics 365 and LinkedIn Recruiter are helping Chemonics to manage those recruitment requirements. So I'm going to look at it from two scenarios. First of all, as a recruiter, and then as a hiring manager. So I'm starting off as a recruiter, and today I'm trying to find a new individual to work in a project in the Dominican Republic. I'm looking for an accountant, and my requirements are international accountancy experience, the ability to speak Spanish, and I need them to be able to work out of the DC office. So I've jumped straight into LinkedIn Recruiter, and we can see on the left-hand side, I've recorded my requirements for this position. So typically at Chemonics, we will use LinkedIn to interact with candidates, find out about their skill set, and if we think they're going to be a match, encourage them to apply for a position. So I've done that, and we can see here we've had a number of candidates interact with us, and we can actually see that we have one who's already responded and is open to new opportunities. So that's how I would manage it as a recruiter. But as a hiring manager, typically, if I want to find out what's going on with the recruitment project, I'm going to have to pick up the phone or send an email to the recruiter. Who are you speaking to? Can you tell me where we're at with the stages? Is there someone I can meet yet? Using Dynamics, I can find out all that information directly within Talent. So we can see on screen here, I've got a number of applicants who've applied. I can see their stages, and it means for me, I've got a really transparent and clear understanding of where we're at with that project. So I want to understand a little bit more about Cameron. So I'm going to jump into his record to see if I can find out more about his application. So we can see on screen here within Dynamics, we're actually at the point where we're ready to bring him in for an interview. But actually, before I do that, I want to know a little bit more about him. So again, still in Dynamics, what I'll be able to see now using LinkedIn integration is his full LinkedIn profile directly within the system. So I can see here the experience that he has, the education that he has, and it looks to me like he's actually going to be quite a strong candidate for this position. Furthermore, I can see his CV and any other documentation he's shared directly within Dynamics. So it means I have a really clear understanding of who we might be interviewing. And for me, he looks like a match, so I'm going to go ahead and invite him in for an interview. So first of all, I want to suggest some dates to him. And this project's going to start at the beginning of July, so we really need to get on with interviews. So I'm going to suggest a couple of dates to Cameron. And what that's then going to do is it's going to push out an invitation to him. He can log into Dynamics, and he can see the options and choose the one that fits him best. Once I've done that, I'm going to choose my interview team. And in this case, there's 4 members of the team that I want to meet with Cameron. And I want them to actually meet him in the order on the screen so that he meets the right people at the right time. Once I've confirmed my team, it's just time to start scheduling the interview. So we've heard back from Cameron. He'd like to meet on the 28th. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up 4 individual interviews, one after another, so that everyone can really find out who Cameron is, what makes him tick, and they can individually decide if he's a match. Furthermore, if anyone wants to meet him online because they can't get in face-to-face, I'm going to add some Skype details. What would normally happen now is I'd have to pick up the phone, I'd have to say, can you give me access to your calendar? Can you tell me your availability? And it would really be back and forwards. But actually using Office 365 integration, Dynamics is going to go away, look at their calendar, check their availability, and it's come back and suggested 4 slots, one after each other, that suit all of the interview team on the date that I've asked for. So it's removed a whole load of effort for me, and it's also sort of guaranteed that I can see their availability without having to jump into another system. So I'm going to go ahead and invite the team, and what that actually does is it pushes out invitations to their Outlook, and they can manage it like any other calendar invite. They can then see if they're available, respond, and those responses will be pushed directly back into Dynamics. So I can see here 4 responses directly into the system, 3 acceptances. We've had 1 decline, but that might be a separate issue, so I'm going to take it offline, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to schedule the interview, because I really want to get on with people meeting Cameron. So I can now start to share that with Cameron. I'm going to provide him with a little bit more information, and this is then going to push out to the system, and again, Cameron's going to get notified he's had more information, and it means before he turns up to the interview, he knows exactly who he's meeting and where he's meeting them. So on the day of the interview, it's really important to me as a hiring manager to get my feedback from the team. So directly within Dynamics, they can come in and record notes about the interview, what their feedback was about Cameron, what were his strengths, what were his weaknesses. And then finally, they can give a recommendation about whether they think he should be hired. So meeting him, he seemed like a fantastic candidate, definitely someone that we'd want to hire. We can actually see here now all four members of the interview team have responded, and they all think he was fantastic. And one of the really good things about Dynamics is we're all busy, we're all moving around, we all have different sessions. We don't have to come into the main system to give that feedback. If I'm jumping in a taxi between meetings or interviews, I can use the mobile app or the tablet app to give that feedback in real time. And it just makes it a little bit more easy to get the feedback from everyone so that we really understand whether we should be hiring Cameron. So it looks to me like he's been a fantastic candidate. He's definitely a match. Let's go ahead and offer him the job. So I'm going to advance the stage. I can put together an offer for Cameron, and then I'm going to prepare that. So once Cameron has accepted that position, we really want to get on with onboarding. And in Chemonics in particular, there's lots of processes that we typically need our employees to complete before they can actually start in a project. So things like certification, tasks that they need to complete. And historically, that would mean sending lots of emails to Cameron, chasing him, checking that he's completed the tasks, back and forward to make sure we actually know whether he's ready to start. But in Dynamics, we can come in, choose our start date. So he's going to join at the beginning of July. And what I can then do is access templates that we've built to guide Cameron through all the tasks he needs to complete for onboarding. So I'm going to choose a template, and that means I'm going to get sort of a basic profile for him to work from, but I can personalize it for him. So I can come in, I can put some kind of welcome message for Cameron, and we can have an out-of-the-box welcome message, but then tweak it for each individual candidate to personalize it. I can then come in and put activities in. So as you can see, we've got a template of tasks we'd expect him to complete, but we need the ability to tweak that to make sure it's appropriate for Cameron. On top of that, before he joins, it would be really helpful if he could understand who are some of the people in the organization, who is he going to work with, who might have done his position, an accountant in another project, so he can then find out what success looks like at Chemonics. And on top of that, maybe there are some people he's met before in previous work experience or education that now work for Chemonics that it would be good for him to interact with. So I can set all of this up in Dynamics. And if we click on Preview, we're going to be able to see what it would look like for Cameron. So Cameron can log into this with his personal email before he joins. He can come in, see the tasks that we talked about, use LinkedIn to start to interact with those other members of the team I've set up. And then once he's joined, he's completed a certain number of tasks, he's ready to start the project, using his corporate email address, he can then access more content. So we can restrict it that the information he sees before he starts the project and before he's an official employee is different to what he sees once he has joined. So for Cameron, he's got a really great start, he's interacting with people, and for me as a hiring manager, it's really easy to track his progress. I don't have to keep contacting him directly to find out how close we're getting to being ready to start in that project. So Cameron joins the team, he works in the project, it's all really successful. What we like to do in Chemonics is then come in and find the talent that we've already hired and allocate them to other projects. So using Dynamics, we have one profile for Cameron that takes information from Dynamics, LinkedIn, and from Office 365, and it builds one profile. So we can see his skills, we can see the development that he's completing, and that means it's really easy to have one version of the truth about Cameron so that when we're completing other projects, we can pick the right candidate to come in and work as part of that project. So using Dynamics 365 for Talent, LinkedIn Recruiter, and Office 365, we've been able to manage finding the right candidates, onboarding them, and developing them. Thank you.